Hey, everybody, welcome to the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Dan Labbe, Mary Kay Cabot, Ashley Bastock with you here recording this on Monday. It's about 5:30, and we were going to do a Ham K pod today, but had to pivot, obviously, because there was pretty significant news. So we will do a Ham K pod on Tuesday. So all those questions you sent us, got them. Keep them coming. We'll get to as many as we can on Tuesday. But of course, today we've got to talk about the development that wasn't a huge shock. We've been talking about it. Of course, the pick of Carson Schlesinger only fueled a little more of this speculation, but we do finally have an answer on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Mary Kay. He is on the PUP list. He will not play in 2025. And obviously, the Browns and JOK didn't comment beyond 2025, but anytime a player is going to be out for the entire season with a neck injury, this early in the process, you do start to go down that road of thinking about what it means for his career overall. But obviously, just kind of, I don't know, just awful news. I mean, JOK was really becoming a really nice player on this defense and developing into one of the more fun linebackers in the league. Like, he was right on the brink of becoming kind of that household name. And now, at best, we're going to have to wait until 2026 for that to continue if it does at all.
Really, really, truly very unfortunate. Of course, we've all gotten to know Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah very well. He's a great guy. He's great to deal with. He's great in the locker room. His teammates love him. Fans love him. And as you mentioned, the lights had really come on for him. He was playing at a very, very high level, a Pro Bowl caliber level. I think he would have been back at the Pro Bowl again for the second straight year. Last year, we've heard his linebackers coach, Jason Tarver, talk about how he had become such a complete every down linebacker. We saw him excelling in coverage, in pressure, in tackling, you name it. He was all over the place. He was actually originally drafted to help go after and quell guys like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. And he was doing a really, really good job of that and pretty much everything else. So this is really unfortunate. The Browns viewed him basically as a first round talent. They traded up in the second round to get him out of Notre Dame in 2021. He was more than living up to his billing and his draft status. And this is a very, very sad day. But fortunately for the Browns, they drafted Carson Schlesinger, and they shouldn't miss a beat with how good we all believe he's going to be.
Yeah, we'll kind of get to that because obviously that puts a lot of pressure on Schlesinger in that role. But Ashley, when you look at JOK, and really one of the things we've talked about all offseason is the turnovers, right? The Browns' complete inability to force turnovers, and he was the only linebacker or safety on this roster that either intercepted a pass or forced a fumble. No one else at the linebacker position or safety position did that for this football team, and he had kind of perfected that peanut punch. It had become a part of what he was doing. I remember we talked to him about that after, I think it was the Washington game, maybe. He had that great interception against Washington. He was doing the things that they drafted him to do, and it was really kind of a slow climb too into from his rookie year getting into this Jim Schwartz scheme that really seemed to kind of unlock everything the Browns wanted him to be.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, he was the only defender that had an interception last season, from what I remember. I mean, he is obviously so athletic, so C quarterback, like help clean everything up. He really thrived in that way, and obviously going up against Lamar Jackson, I think, was when he was oftentimes at his best, right? So, yeah, it's like he was such a key piece. And I think, though, none of us are surprised that this announcement came today, because we were getting to a point that it wasn't a no news is good news situation. Like, we hadn't gotten any kind of update. We still don't know, like, what exactly the injury is. I mean, obviously, it's a neck injury. We all saw the hit. But when we were going so long and then they drafted Carson Schlesinger, it just seemed like it was trending this way. So really, I think unfortunate to lose him for the season, but at the same time, like we probably saw the writing on the wall with this.
Yeah, Mary Kay, I think that's kind of the thing about this too. Is like obviously this is something we've been talking about since before the season ended. JOK's future, but as much as the Browns denied it after the fact, and obviously they were being very careful with how they talked about this for obvious reasons. But as much as they denied it after they drafted Schlesinger at 33, I think that all kind of set off alarm bells in our heads. Like, oh, they're taking a linebacker at 33. That tells me something because there were a lot of ways they could have gone with that pick. And the fact that they prioritized that position when really none of us kind of expected them to, at least that high, it it really kind of did set off the alarm bells like, oh, this probably isn't good news for JOK in the near future. So again, it's not a shock. It's just really disappointing. And you mentioned it with JOK. He's a guy that we have he's sort of started to open up a little bit. He's such a fascinating personality. Obviously, he spends a lot of time in Africa and does a lot of things there. He was one of the NFL was including him in some of their NFL Africa commercial campaigns, all of that. And we also like in the locker room there was that corner, and JOK was like in the middle of it, where it was they would just have these loud conversations that were not about football. They would be about politics or Africa or whatever. And he was always front and center in that. And so I think in a lot of ways, not just on the field, and I'm sure he'll be around, but it's just going to be hard for him to be around as much as he has been. He's going to be missed on a lot of levels, I think, on this team.
Well, he is, and the Browns made a point to say that he will be around. He probably will be part of the team. He will be mentoring young guys. We know that Carson wants to pick his brains and learn everything that he can from JOK. So I think he'll be good for the team from that standpoint. And I think maybe also in some ways as a spiritual leader, we've seen him grow and mature in many, many ways, including in his strong faith and just in his commitment and his devotion to Africa and all of the things that he does there. And we see that he won NFL Best Dressed the previous year for the elaborate, amazing garb that he wears on game day to honor his heritage. And he's just a really cool guy. So fortunately for JOK, if this is the end of the road for him, he has plenty of life after football. We know what he's about. He's committed to humanity and the betterment of others and helping others and peace and freedom and all of those things that he stands for. So he will definitely I know he will have a wonderful life outside of football. But this is sad for him from a football standpoint because he was really good and he was getting better and better and better by the game, not just by the year. We watched that improvement. We watched him figure out exactly where he fits. Now, in the very beginning, when he first started playing, it was hard for him to know exactly where to be at any given moment on the football field because there was just a lot of freelancing and there just wasn't a script all the time for what you do from that position. But he figured it out. And as you both mentioned, he started to have such a nose for the ball that he was starting to get those takeaways. And the Browns really suffered with almost no takeaways last year. So they really needed a guy like that who had that nose for taking it away, whether you're intercepting it or whether you're forcing a fumble or recovering. He was making those big impact plays, and they need more of those. So it was a good sign that Carson Schlesinger got that interception on the second day of rookie minicamp because they are going to need more takeaways like that from guys like that. But certainly, I think he's going to go on to have a really, really nice outside of football life. But the Browns will welcome him into the facility every single day. They hope he's there all the time. And they can keep open the possibility that perhaps he will play football again, but we just don't know.
Yeah, it's one thing I think the Browns have been good at, and Andrew Berry has been really good at, is developing those relationships with players. And we see Andrew after games in the locker room all the time. I mean, not that he's the only GM that does that, but you see him walking around talking to guys. And There is definitely, there's not like a wall up between the front office and the players. He definitely takes that part of it very seriously. And one of the thoughts I had today too, Ashley, was like, thankfully for JOK, he got that extension last summer. So I don't know how all the financials of that are going to work out, but at least this happened after he got the extension, and at least he is going to be able to, again, if we don't know if it will be, but if this is the end of the line football wise for JOK, at least he's going to walk away having made a decent amount. He's not going to just have that rookie contract to sit on, which is fine. That's good money too. But he actually got to that second contract first. So as we look for positives for him in this moving forward, that I think that kind of goes on that side of the ledger too.
And from Mary Kay's story today, that 3-year deal through 2027 worth 39 million and 25 million of it guaranteed. So to that point, it could certainly be worse financially in that way for him. But I mean, that deal kind of also just showed, I think, everything we've been talking about, right? He had unlocked so much. I think he was well on his way to becoming the player they thought he would be when they moved up to draft him. Obviously, the Pro Bowl year in 2023. I mean, who knows? He was playing really well this year. I mean, I don't know if he would have made the Pro Bowl in 2024, like as a starter, had he kept going. But it is, I think, just unfortunate because you're looking at somebody who had really unlocked something like in the last 2 seasons, and I thought was a perfect fit for this defense. And yes, he has all these other things going for him, and that's great. But yeah, it's too bad because he's a great guy to be around. Obviously, loves football. Had put in so much work and time, and that's been the story since he got here, right? I mean, I remember Joe Woods talking about how he would fill up notebooks for each opponent with notes every scouting report. So this is a guy who's put in the work, the time, the effort, and it is too bad that this is where we are right now.
So let's talk about, of course, the football side of this. And we've mentioned the name Carson Schlesinger a few times, and just looking at that linebacker room as it stands right now, of course they have him. They also have they signed Jerome Baker this offseason, a veteran guy, obviously a local guy, Mahmoud Diabate, Jordan Hicks. Nathaniel Watson, a draft pick last year. Winston Reed is one of the special teamers kind of in that group. And when I think about obviously trying to replace JOK, Mary Kay, I don't think that it's not a one person job, right? I think that he is one of those guys. I almost kind of put him in the class of Myles Garrett, just in the sense of the way he moves and the way he operates is like unique. It's special, right? Like there aren't many guys that can bend like Myles Garrett. I don't think there are many guys that can kind of shoot gaps and kind of make themselves paper thin like JOK could to go get running backs and go get quarterbacks. And the way he reads, this is where he'll really help Carson Schlesinger. I think the way he kind of prepares and reads plays. I just think he is a special, unique talent. So obviously it's not, I don't think anyone is sitting here saying Carson Schlesinger is going to show up week one and look like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but he's part of the puzzle. Jerome Baker, I guess, will be part of the puzzle. They're really going to kind of have to replace him almost by committee, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so too, because he does so many different things. And even though we are making the comparison between Carson and JOK, just in terms of their athletic ability, as Andrew Berry pointed out on draft weekend, they each have a different superpower. And JOK's superpower was in the blitz arena and being able to rush and do all of those kinds of things that he was able to do from a pressure standpoint and to close on those linebackers, the way he would close and kind of help set that edge or get around the edge or whatever he had to do, he could get there in a hurry. And that was really something, a sight to behold for him. And then when they talk about Carson, his superpower is in coverage. And we saw some of that at rookie minicamp. We saw him grab that interception off of Dylan Gabriel in those red zone drills. And so, they're different, but I still think that you're going to see sort of the same caliber of linebacker there. But yes, as you mentioned, it will be by committee to a certain extent. They still really like exactly what they get from Jordan Hicks. He's very, very good. Now, he's been injury prone himself. He's struggled with injuries. But when he can stay healthy, he's amazing at his job. I also think he's going to be a wonderful mentor for Carson Schlesinger. He's going to be really, really good. But just in terms of football acumen and how smart they are and how green dot they are, and of course, what I mean by that is you get to wear the green dot if you are smart enough to be that field general on the defensive side of the ball and you can call the plays and all of those things out there, be the quarterback of that defense. They look at Carson as somebody like that. We know he is a bioengineering major, super smart, crazy high football acumen. And I think that showed up even during the small sample size we saw of him in the rookie minicamp, just knowing where to be, knowing what to do. You have to do that to be able to pick off a ball like that in the red zone in those tight quarters. So I do think that you're going to need all the help you can get, all hands on deck to try to make up for JOK. And once again, it's just incredibly unfortunate, but I do want to add, and I know that you guys 100% feel this way, and the Browns feel this way, is the fact that he walked away from this injury. He walked away and he has feelings in all of his extremities. And that is arguably the biggest blessing from this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, like before we kind of were getting more details about it, I think we were a little concerned when you see a guy carted off like that and then it's just a mystery for a while. You do get a little worried, like what aren't they showing us? What are we not seeing here? And so obviously, you know, that we saw some stuff on Instagram and then we see him walk into the facility and all of that. So again, that's huge. The fact that, you know, he's going to have a normal life after football, as far as we can tell, is huge in all of this. And Ashley, I go back to kind of what we were saying there. Andrew Berry, after he did the extension, said JOK's a player that lives behind the line of scrimmage because he's a heat-seeking missile with rare, shape-shifting movement skills that would even make Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus blush. Now, I am not like a Matrix junkie. I saw the first one when it first came out, but all I remember is they were like pills, they were colored pills, and like Keanu Reeves was dodging bullets in slow motion. So I'm not a Matrix expert, but even I get that reference to the Matrix, and that is how JOK moves when he's out on the football field.
Okay, so I've never seen it. Like, I've seen a lot, right? I have a lot of pop culture knowledge. I've never seen it. It is a blind spot. Is that the one where they're like, Keanu's like dodging the bullets in
Yeah,
like
yeah. There's like
slow
he's like
motion?
leaning backwards and the
Yeah.
bullets are flying by him. Yeah,
Okay,
that's.
cool.
I think there's a
Cool, cool,
GIF of it
cool.
too. Yeah, like I said, I've seen it
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, I like that. I like that Andrew got that pop. Like, I don't remember that quote at all, and I'm shocked I don't remember it. But I do not remember it. Yeah, I think that's accurate if it's the image that I am thinking of here, and it was. I mean, it has been amazing to watch him become that. Right, so yeah, I think it's on brand, but I'll have to add the Matrix to my letterbox to watch list, I guess.
This is what I think I know. So, like I said, I've seen the first one. It honestly didn't take for me. Maybe I need to rewatch it. But then I hear the
There's
sequels are
multiple.
not. Yeah, there's like sequels. I haven't seen any of the sequels, but
Oh,
I hear they're not as good. Like people
okay.
love the first one, but I hear they're not as good. Have you seen the Matrix at all, Mary Kay? Are we just
No, but I
Matrix
want
blind
to,
spot here
and
on
I'll
this
tell you
pod?
why. I'll tell you why I want to is because I can't go 1 week without a Matrix reference somewhere,
Wow.
somehow, right? Maybe not for you guys, but I'm constantly getting Matrix references coming at me and somebody mentioning it. And so I have to see it. I mean, it's just one of those sort of iconic things that I guess you have to know about.
Like I said, I know there's a red pill and a blue pill, but I don't know which is which. I know one like takes you to I you know what, I don't even want to know. Can't even get into the lore. I don't I don't know enough. I just know there's a red pill and
I
a blue
feel
pill,
like
and Keanu Reeves defies gravity or something.
Yeah, I feel like we gotta. I think that's all we can say because I know like the Matrix Hive can get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be coming for our throats. Like if
Well,
we
I
say
mean, we've
something
got the
wrong.
now we got to watch out for the Shador Hive. We got to watch out for the
Yeah, it's a
Matrix
lot.
Hive.
It's a
It's
lot.
it's crazy. Yeah. John Wick. I've seen those. No, those are good Keanu Reeves movies. Just ask our guy Scott Petrak. He saw those two for the first time. All right, the JOK conversation is completely gone off the rails here. I do want to talk about something real quickly, and we'll get into this a little bit in the Hey MK pod too, I think. But since we are coming off rookie minicamp week, and I think this is a theme we've been touching on, honestly, we got into it all weekend. We got into it after the draft. This Shador Sanders phenomenon and how it sort of shades how people are talking about this whole thing. I mean, I saw a clip today of LaShawn McCoy citing sources who were telling him that Shador Sanders was the best player in Brown's rookie minicamp. Like this is the stuff that's going to happen because these national shows, they're looking for anything football content. And Shador Sanders, we know how he moves the needle. So that combination right there is going to get people sitting behind desks saying things that we're kind of like, wait, what? I I personally, Mary Kay, felt like both quarterbacks came away from this weekend pretty even. I thought there were good things. I thought there were bad things from both. If somebody made me say who I thought was better this weekend, I would probably say Shador. But for me at least, I think it was kind of like just by a little bit. And I guess that's what makes this so hard because there are certainly other people who were there too who feel differently on the towards Shador and feel differently about Dylan Gabriel, right? So I don't know, but to me, I felt like these guys came away pretty even out of this weekend, and I think everybody needs to be careful out there in the Twitterverse with kind of what people who weren't there, especially, are saying about this.
Yeah, and I'm planning on writing something about this tomorrow too, because I have been seeing all of the things floating around out there. And I really would like to put my take out there and put my spin on what I felt like I saw too. And I feel like I want to rein in some of the Shador mania a little bit because I think it's getting slightly out of hand. If some of us saw it as even, and some of us saw Dylan as better, and some of us saw Shador as better, I think it's a little bit difficult for anyone to say, my goodness, Shador won the weekend and he was far and away better. And how do we know that he wasn't horrible on Sunday, the final day of rookie minicamp, and Dylan ran away with it? We were only out there for 2 out of the 3 days. But because there were such divided opinions and mixed opinions amongst us, I don't think you can say with any certainty that one guy won it or the other guy won it. And it baffles me to see that some people are out there so definitively calling a winner in this thing. I'm just not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. It's rookie minicamp. They are in shorts. They're throwing for the first time to guys they've never met before. They don't know their names. They don't know anything about these guys. I thought they did a nice job in terms of not putting a ton of balls on the ground. I thought that was good. I thought the velocity for both looked good. Now, we did see Dylan get picked off by Carson, but that's going to happen. I mean, that's a good linebacker. That's a good first team, probably starting linebacker this year, swooping in there and having the vision to go make that play. So that could happen to anybody. So that doesn't knock Dylan down a ton in my mind that happened. I thought they both did some good things on the first day. I think we all saw just a few little wobblers from Shador here and there. No, nothing to get concerned about. I didn't make any kind of a big deal about those whatsoever. We saw some nice deep balls by both guys. I just don't think that you can raise one of their hands and say, this guy won this thing.
Yeah, it's and again that caveat always has to be it was rookie minicamp, right? It was shorts, it was no pads, there was no tackling, there's a lot of 7-on-7, which really doesn't paint a very clear picture. So, to me, it's hard for me to look at this and say, I just don't have a definitive opinion off of this weekend. And I know that's boring, but like, again, I felt like Shador looked pretty good when we moved into the team sessions. I mean, I did stand there and watch on Friday when he threw some of those wobblers, and I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. And then I thought he picked it up a little bit when we got into the team portion. I thought Dylan Gabriel played it kind of safe in the team portion. It was sort of what we expected out of them, right? We know Shador likes to look for big plays, and we know sometimes he struggles with pressure, but he throws a really accurate ball when he has a chance to. So it was just sort of everything I expected, I think, from both of them. And Ashley, I came out of this weekend at least feeling like, okay, neither of these guys fell flat on their face. So that's a positive step. And now in a couple weeks, we get to go out there and see them next to Joe Flacco, next to Kenny Pickett, and actually playing with guys who have a chance to make the roster.
Yeah, as you guys know, I was on 92.3, the afternoon drive show with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin earlier today on Monday around 4 o'clock. And this was how we opened my segment, was they asked me who won. And I passionately went to bat for the case that I think that is the dumbest way to look at rookie minicamp for basically each of the reasons Mary Kay outlined. I'm not going to go through them all again, but like, it's May. There's no vets. They're not in pads. Like, okay. And I said, they asked me, well, who do you think has the leg up? And I'm like, well, it's the conversation the three of us, had the other day, right? That, well, they drafted Dylan in the third round and they drafted Shador in the fifth round. So I would assume it's Dylan. I don't know if I personally think that, but I think that's what the Browns think. And then the conversation became, if I had to pick one to play in a team versus a team of aliens, who would I pick? And I said Shador because, that it wasn't based on anything necessarily I saw this weekend, other than there were no like major screw ups, but it's just how I felt from everything I learned and saw from Shador on his film throughout the pre-draft process. Like, I think everything breaks sort of even after this weekend for me, barring anything crazy that we don't know about that happened on Sunday. Like, I just don't think it did anything to change their positioning or their thoughts on anyone based off of these few days. I think, truthfully, the guys that mattered for the most are these tryout guys like a Luke Floria from Kent State, who they signed today. Those are the people that this past weekend was most important for to me.
That's an interesting question. So I actually agree with you, Ashley. And again, it's based on just the idea that you can go back and listen. There were podcasts where I was saying, just take Shador number 2 overall. Now, maybe I could have been wrong about that, but I never said that about Dylan Gabriel. So, like,
Really,
obviously, just as a prospect, I like Shador more.
yes, and really, I said my true answer is I wish Jameis Winston was still here because I think Jameis would thrive interacting with aliens and getting them on our side, and I think he could truly save the world if they wanted to take over the earth in some capacity.
That's true. I mean, Mary Kay, now you've got to answer. We're stealing this from the 92.3 afternoon drive show. If the Browns were playing a team of aliens for the fate of Earth, which one would you choose based on where we're at right now?
Are you talking just about Dylan versus Shador?
Yeah, it was
Just
just the
those
rookies,
two.
Those
right?
were the
Yeah.
parameters I was given, so I think we should keep
Team
with
of
those two.
aliens. You know what? I'm just going to stick with Dylan since he was picked in the third round.
Okay.
I think that a third rounder trumps a fifth rounder. So I'm going to go with Dylan.
All right, there we go. So we've talked Matrix, we've talked aliens. Wow, this thing just really went crazy. All right, we're going to wrap up this podcast here. Like I said at the top, we were going to do a Hey MK today. So if you send in your questions, I got them. Keep sending them in if you haven't. Those are from our texters. That's cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page to get involved with our texting. We will circle back and do that on Tuesday, unless, knock on wood, something crazy happens on Tuesday as well. We've got the schedule coming out. And then before we know it, we're going to be right back in Berea watching football practices with the veterans there. So Orange and Brown Talk, find it on Apple Podcasts, find it on Spotify, find our YouTube, Cleveland Browns on cleveland.com, and get subscribed. So much stuff from Rookie Minicamp Weekend. If you want to watch Shador and Dylan Gabriel yourselves, we've got a bunch of video of those guys throwing the football in those team drills. So go check all of that out as well. For Mary Kay and Ashley, I'm Dan. Thanks for listening, everybody.